going on, guys? What's going on? I thought that I would come in and answer questions and say hello. So this is what we call Dr. Boyce Exposed. Every week I try to do one of these, at least one, where I answer any question. You ask me any question, I'll give you an honest answer. And that's all I can promise you is honesty. I can't promise you I'm going to give you the answer you want to hear. I can't promise you that I'm going to not piss you off. I can only promise you that I'm going to be honest. So fire away. Any questions you have, ask the questions. I will answer them. What's going on, Steffi? Stay fresh. How you doing? Good to see you. I see you in there. Dr. Angie BB. Okay, you got one. All right. What's the question? Go ahead. Don't tell me you got a question. Tell me the question. We just got back from Bloomington, Indiana. Is Apple a good buy? I think it is. I own shares of Apple. What is it that we have to have? Why is it that we have to have a gender divide in the black community? I'm not into a gender divide, but there are some people who, because white people tell you to have one. They tell you that black men are garbage and that you should spend your time fighting black men. When really, the good black men are your allies. The bad black men are not. A good ETF. I like the spiders. They've tracked the S&P 500. What's up, Unc? Says Nasik. How you doing, Nasik? Good to see you. Do you think the government will do anything ever to help the African American community? Yeah, I think we have to make them do it. That's what I'm trying to do, but it's not easy. Peace, good brother. Hey, Minus and Plus, how you doing? What corporate finance role have you held, and for how long? I run my own companies most of my life. When I was in graduate school, I did get some offers to go work at companies like Towers, Parent, and stuff like that, and I passed those up. And then I went straight into academia, and so a lot of business school professors at that point. I'd never run a business. The only time I'd worked in a business was I did some time with GE Aircraft Engines Division up in Lynn, Massachusetts. But that was really a terrible job. I didn't learn anything because my boss was a racist, pretty terrible lady. And at that time, I learned I didn't want to work for white people. And it was kind of my dream job, though. Like, I made a ton of money. I had a really expensive apartment right in the middle of Boston. But I learned that sometimes everything that glitters ain't gold. So so really, for the most part, most of my life, I've been a reject. I've been a black male who was always rejected from corporate settings. I didn't fit in to those sorts of environments. And I don't know how much of that has to do with race or how much it had to do with just the way I am. I don't know. But either way, I decided not too far into that I needed to have something that would give me more independence. So I'm not a corporate guy. I can run a corporation, but I don't necessarily want to work for people. What are your thoughts about network marketing? I don't participate. I get invited to join stuff like that all the time. It doesn't make me comfortable because there's money there, but a lot of people don't make money. So it's a lot like it's a little bit better, but about the same as like these pyramid schemes, pyramid schemes where you got to bring in new people and you make your money by bringing in new people. And what happens is the new people are paying the older people. They're paying the people that are already in there. So you pay in hopes that one day you'll get a chance to be one of the people in the middle, and most people don't get that chance. So I'm not big into network marketing. I don't hate it. No offense if that's your thing, but I think there are easier ways to make money, in my opinion. Which investment vehicle do you prefer, stocks or real estate? I like stocks because actually by writing call options on stocks, you can actually earn a much higher return than you can earn on real estate. So I actually teach options in the Black Business School. If you'd like to join us, you can go to blackoptionsinvesting.com. That's blackoptionsinvesting.com. The first month is $1. Please, my homie is getting deported. Post his link. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, if you send it to me, I'll post it. Have you used financial literacy to read the new Tulsa real estate SEC report? No, I have not read it. So maybe if there's something for me to read, feel free to send it over to me. Let's see here. Hit the question box. Are we the real Indians? That I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. How do I get government contracts? Ironically, if you go to, I think it's theblacklectureseries.com, theblacklectureseries.com, we do a lecture series, and one of the master lectures in the blacklectureseries.com actually focuses on getting government contracts. We had a guy that came in that's actually got hundreds of millions of dollars of government contracts, and he did a mini course on the topic. He's going to do a master class on it as well, but he's also done a mini course. Is owning an LLC to buy and sell real estate a good option? I think it is. I own an LLC. We buy real estate with it. What is your first step to getting into investing to get started? I mentioned today on the Black Financial Channel that we're right in the middle of what is called a K-shaped recovery. A K-shaped recovery is basically an economic recovery where you have growth, but it's very skewed. It doesn't happen for everybody. It's not smooth across the board. It's the top 1%, and it's mainly for people who are investors, and it's in specific industries. So if you're in those industries, if you are an investor, then you're going to do okay. But if you're not an investor and you're not in specific industries, then you're going to suffer. So basically, the industries that have done really well are stay-at-home stocks, tech companies, safe haven stocks, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Google, stuff like that. And the people that have made money have been the investors, because the stock market has done really well. But as you know, the unemployment numbers are garbage. They're trash. That's why I just really think, I did the math. I said 99.999% of all people are not going to die from COVID. So why should all those 99.999% of all people go without a job? I've never been a fan of shutting everything down. I've been a fan of keeping people safe while still letting people work. It pisses me off that people are using politics to destroy people's livelihoods. I will never forgive this. I think it was a complete mistake. If I was president of the United States, I would have said, okay, we're going to have a nationwide mask mandate, but we're going to try to get this economy moving again. And when you get into this whole Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative crap, people get into this mindset where they're like, we should never open up, never shut down. Well, let me just tell you a little secret. Most of my liberal friends who are telling you that you should never leave your house and never go back to work are rich. They are rich people. These motherfuckers sitting in the house, sitting on $10 million in the bank. And that's why they're telling you that we should just stay inside forever. And I'm like, if 1 in 4,000 people are dying, that's not exactly a risk. I know hoods where 1 in 100 people get killed every year. Like, what are you talking about? Like, can't you find some way to help people pay their bills and still keep them safe? Or must it be one of these things where because you hate Trump and want to get him out of office, whatever the hell you trying to do, you trying to tell people to stay home forever when they don't have the money to do that? So I was really annoyed with it. I didn't like it. I've never been afraid of COVID. I'm still not scared of it. I got my mask. I can show you. I got 4 masks in my bag. I wear my damn mask. I wash my hands and sanitize. I do all of that. But I'm not going to sit at home and be scared just because these dumbasses in the government tell me to. I don't trust these people. I don't believe these people. They are stupid. They're stupid. Trump is stupid. Biden is a racist. Y'all got me started, man. Let me be quiet. Let me take a deep breath. Woosah, boys. Woosah. How do I learn about black issues and themes without getting angered? I don't know, Cleo. That's Chow. Is that Chow? Chow Kayla? I wish I could tell you. I guess it's like white supremacy doesn't really make me mad, because I realize that if I believe in the greatness of blackness, like the great antidote to white supremacy for me is actually black excellence. I believe in black love, black excellence. So black love and black excellence are the strongest forces in the universe as far as I'm concerned. So that means that if you bring white supremacy to the building, we're going to squash it anyway. I'm going to tell you, let me tell you a secret. Today, me and Alicia went to eat ice cream, and we were in the ice cream parlor, and this old white man came in, and he was decked out in red. And not because he was a blood. He was decked out in red because he had a Trump 2020 shirt on, and he had a big red MAGA hat. And he came in, and he came to get his ice cream. And I looked over, and I didn't give a shit. I was like, okay, that's who he voted for. I'm not going to vote for his guy. He voted. I don't care. That's his right. Just don't get in the way. Don't get between me and my ice cream, and we good. And later on, I was talking to Alicia. I said, yeah, did you see that white guy with the MAGA hat on, the Trump T-shirt? She said, no. She said there was a guy in there with a Trump shirt on, and he was standing right next to us. But the point I'm making is, we didn't even notice this man. We did not care about this man. We were not triggered by this man. He is just an old white guy who votes for who he wants to vote for. He's probably not even voting for Trump. He's voting against the Democrats. That's how politics works. People don't vote for a candidate anymore. They vote against the other candidate. I'm not going to sit around here and let my whole day get ruined because a white person decided to do something or say something. That's one way I keep from getting angry. I get more angry when we let ourselves run around like our chickens with our heads cut off. We let ourselves get emotionally played because we're trained to be triggered. We're trained to be emotional. We're trained to be codependent on white supremacy. So we're easily triggered. Like tomorrow, just watch. Tomorrow, somebody will be passing around some video or something that happened, and we'll be all up in arms, and you won't get nothing done. won't get your books read, won't get your business started, won't be finishing that project that you started, won't be doing things with your family because you're going to spend all that time in distress and triggered. And I don't want to do that. I don't think that's a healthy way to live. You can fight a battle without necessarily letting the battle control you, without being a slave to the environment. You make the environment your slave. What's the formula for determining options strike price? That's complex, but I do have an options class, so feel free to take a look. It's blackoptionsinvesting.com. The first month is $1. I went to school at Bloomington and tried to write an article on homelessness. Oh, nice. Okay, very nice. No tangibles, no vote, no reparations, no vote. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at too. Let me see here. What was the turning point in your life when you became free? It was the worst year of my life. It was 1999. I remember like it was yesterday. I was 28 years old. I wasn't even 28. I was 27. And everything I had done in my life to that point had failed. I was in graduate school longer than I wanted to be because I couldn't. I was trying to get my PhD. It was really, really hard. And it wasn't working out. I had this girlfriend, she decided to dump me or whatever, for another guy. And I was running out of money. I was broke. I was going to technically be homeless. Like I was literally about to break my lease. I was going to pack up all my shit. I had to do it. I packed everything I owned in the middle of the night, and I moved out of my apartment, and I just left. I just broke the lease. And so in a way, it was kind of like a rock bottom type situation, and in that situation, what happens is that when you hit rock bottom, something else comes out. Like if you just decide that you're determined to overcome whatever you're dealing with, then your brain and your body and your spirit will dig and find resources that you didn't even know that you had. Sometimes it's just a decision. It's a decision when you just say, this ain't gonna kill me. Fuck this. No, I'm not a sucker. I'm not going out like a punk. I'm not gonna give up. And if you just sort of make that declaration of independence, what happens is that you literally bust out of a shell. You free yourself. You start doing things you never did. You try harder than you ever have. You become more creative than you've ever been. And that's what I did, And so to get out of my depression, I started getting up doing push-ups and sit-ups and all that. I had laid in the bed for 2 or 3 weeks straight, and I just started getting up, forcing myself to do push-ups and sit-ups and trying to just evolve and grow and get stronger. And I did a lot of reflecting, and I became a different person at that time. And I'm so glad I went through it because it was a cleansing. It was a spiritual cleansing. Like sometimes you have to be dumped by your old life before you really force yourself to find a new life. Sometimes it's like COVID. COVID forced you to make changes that you didn't want to make before. A year ago, I was telling people, educate your own kids. And people were like, oh, we can't do it. It's not possible. It's too hard. Everybody can't do it. Right? They're like, excuse. Then COVID came along and COVID said, well, your ass going to be sitting at home and your kid's going to be at home whether you like it or not. You have no choice at this point. Well, suddenly, motherfuckers got creative, right? They started figuring things out. All those previously unsolvable problems suddenly became solvable, right? And so I think that that's the benefit of trauma, the benefit of tragedy, the benefit of losing what you have. The benefit of the house burning down is that it forces you to build a newer and better house. And I can name numerous examples where that happened, where I had to be pushed out. God had to push me out of my old life to force me to embrace a new one. He had to push me out of a bad relationship to force me to find a better one. And if he had not pushed me out of that situation where I was comfortable, I wouldn't have moved on to something better. Because a lot of times we stick with stuff not because it's the best for us, but because we're just comfortable. That's just where we're at. That's what we're used to. The things that are familiar are the things you gravitate to, not the things that are healthy for you. So I think that if I was to think about keys to success, it would be stop embracing that which is familiar and comfortable and start going after things that are unfamiliar and uncomfortable. Endure a little bit of discomfort so you can find a new comfort zone. But most people don't do that because we live in a punk-ass, bitch-ass, weak-ass world. We live in a weak-ass world where self-discipline is frowned upon, where personal responsibility is made fun of, where people are very quick to give you 1,000 reasons to feel sorry for yourself. And I think that might feel good in the moment, but that's built on instant gratification. Long-term gratification comes from making the sacrifice early so you can have the benefits later. When I was in school, I can't tell you, you cannot imagine what it's like to study 8 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, including Christmas, and still fail your tests. Like, I know that feeling. I know what it's like to be in school for year after year after year after year, where literally I was learning more in a month than most people learn in an entire year of college. Literally, because all I did was study and I was reading, trying to figure out these really complex equations and going through all this bullshit. And that gave me a type of resilience that most people just don't have. And I think it's sad that you never know that because you never get to know true freedom because you always then become a slave to your habits and to your limitations. You got to go through some hell in order to get a taste of heaven. Most people that are in heaven have had to go through hell to get there. What is your hell? And are you embracing that hell, or are you running away from hell so you can be comfortable in the moment? If you're always running away from tough situations, then you're probably not going to really be that successful. That's just the honest to God truth. Let's see here. Honest answer. What are your thoughts on the Jay Morrison situation? I've been asked about it 1,000 times. I don't really know. My honest thought is that I don't run his business. I mean, I just don't know. I know that I only thing I know about the Tulsa Fund is I was an investor, and I have no regrets about that. I supported the fund because there are no funds like that in the black community. I support 1,000 white businesses, and I'm sure if we wanted to go and launch full, thorough investigations on every white business known to man, there's thousands of businesses out there that are probably stealing billions of dollars from your community right now. I'm not into scrutinizing a black man more than I would scrutinize a white man. So from where I stand, the Tulsa Fund was a place I invested. I hear what Jay has to say. I like the way he speaks about investing in real estate. When I talked to him about it, I asked a lot of hard questions back when he called me when I was in Guyana back in 2017 to tell me what he was trying to do. And I remember telling Alicia, I said, this guy Jay, he's really dotted his I's and crossed his T's. Like, I asked him a lot of tough questions and he answered all of them. So this doesn't mean that there couldn't be something wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not the case. I don't know. I don't run that company. But I think it's important to just be fair. So that's my position. I believe it's important to be fair. And fairness means that you don't just go after somebody with pitchforks and screaming and hollering on the internet about it. If there's something to deal with that's legal, go to the court of law. If there's something that the business needs to fix for you to find resolution, then lay out your list of requests. Like we request that you reveal this, right? Something like that. And then work it out. Like I'm into taking black businesses and trying to make them better. I'm not into just shutting them down because they might have done something wrong or made a mistake. But again, I say this without knowing anything in terms of exactly how they run their business. We don't talk to each other like that. We're friends, but we don't talk to each other. Like Willie D's my friend. I don't know anything about Willie D's business. Nothing at all. So let me see here. So let's see. Now, but I know that answer is not going to satisfy some people, because some people will never be satisfied because their goal is to get blood. Their goal is to destroy. So a person who has that mindset, unfortunately, is not bringing healthy energy to the space. Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they want to create a business. They want to make money for themselves. I have no idea. But it's like if a man comes and tells a woman, here are all the reasons that your man is a bad man. Here's why he ain't shit. There are some men who will tell you that because he's really your friend. Like I had a female friend one time where I had to tell her, I said, look, I don't think you should marry that guy. But then there's some men who will say all those things and put those things in your ear because they actually want to fuck you themselves, right? So you got to know the difference between the two. That's what it is. Pay off credit card debt or invest and pay minimums. I think credit card debt is so high interest that I'm a big fan of paying off credit card debt first. Because remember, the stock market, you might make money, you might not make money. But if you pay off credit card debt and your interest rates are super high, which they tend to be, then you're definitely making money. You're definitely making 14% or whatever the interest rate is. So I would go for the guaranteed money. I'm a big believer in that. I'm not big on gambling. The three things to keep in mind as far as marketing and advertising a business. Well, first of all, marketing should be a big part of your budget. I see a lot of good businesses that get started where they don't even have a marketing budget. It's very weird to me. Like they just throw it out there on social media and they think people are going to find it. That's not true. You got to have a process for figuring out how the marketing is going to occur. And even if you remember when Ice Cube came on drboycetv.com, you saw him wearing a t-shirt that said Ice Cube, right? So he's always thinking about marketing. In the background, there was a picture that said Ice Cube. So think about this. Ice Cube he's an OG in the game. He's been Ice Cube for 30 years. Ever since he came out with, it was once said by a man who couldn't quit. Dope man, please can I have another hit? Remember that? Like ever since then, Ice Cube has been Ice Cube. And you would think that his brand is established enough that he doesn't have to do that. But no, he comes out with a t-shirt on that says Ice Cube. Because he's like, everywhere I go, I need you to know that I'm Ice Cube. And that's my brand. So market your brand. You got to be consistent. How would you invest $500K? Let me see. I buy a lot of stock for sure. Maybe write some call options to generate income from the stock. I would diversify into real estate. And then if you have a business interest that you're really interested in, invest very limited amounts of money in the business. Don't overinvest in the business early, because that's a good way to lose money. You don't want to have what they call the free cash flow problem. The free cash flow problem is where you have too much money and you just burn through it because you're just throwing $10,000 at this, $5,000 at that. Next thing you know, you don't have any money. Try to make sure your money should be a boomerang, not a frisbee. That means when you put money out, you should be getting more money back. You shouldn't be, your dollar bills should be sent out and come back with friends. You shouldn't be throwing money at stuff and then not get anything back. Let's see here. So you've never worked in corporate finance. Like I said, I had that job with GE aircraft engines, but I'm not a corporate finance guy. No, I mean, I've taught corporate finance, so I know it from a theoretical standpoint, but in terms of actually, and I've done it for my own business, of course. And I've done that with millions of dollars, right? Like I've literally managed millions of dollars, in a business. But when I did that, by that time I was a boss. I wasn't anybody's employee. So no, I've never been like the corporate guy. How do you choose between two women? Is there a solid way to know? I think you should pick the things that matter to you. Try to see if you can have a list of 4 or 5 things that really make you happy in a person. Like really think about it. So for example, I'll use myself as an example. I realized that I tend to like, first of all, she had to be black. White women don't do anything for me. I like for, preferably I like for her to have some kind of curves, right? I like meat on the bones. Like too skinny doesn't never do anything for me. Let's see, intelligent. If you're stupid, that bores me really fast. My brain is very active, so I like a person that I can engage with. You have to be a nice person. Nobody likes a bitch. At least I don't. If you're mean so I pay attention to how you treat other people. If you're really nice to me, you treat other people badly, that tells me what kind of person you are. And that's how you learn to evaluate character in people when you become a so-called kind of famous person. Because when I became a little bit famous, I noticed that there would be people who would treat me really nice and then just go shit all over other people. And like Muhammad Ali used to say, he said, if you treat me kindly and treat the waiter poorly, that tells me that you would be treating me badly if I was in that same position. And I believe that. I think you pay attention to how people treat other people. So if it's another thing, a way you can learn a lot about people is ask them about their previous relationships and let them talk. Like, don't interrupt them. Like, some people get all jealous and triggered if you talk about an ex. No, that's your opportunity to learn what you're dealing with. People, their relationships are a reflection of who they are. Their relationships shape who they become. So you should let a person talk all day about their exes and then figure out the patterns and figure out how they dealt with certain situations and whatever, right? So if you find out that a man, if you're a lady and you find out that your man, did something really terrible to another woman, that should alarm you, right? No matter what his excuses are, you should at least process that and kind of say, okay, that tells me that if I do what she did, or if we get up in that same situation, he's gonna treat me badly too. Or if you deal with a woman who says, oh yeah, I took that motherfucker for all his money. We got a divorce and since he cheated on me, I took him for everything he had. Well, that tells you what you're dealing with. I will tell you, like right now, I would never marry a woman who sought revenge on her ex. So I watched Alicia and how she dealt with her ex-husband. And I saw things in her character that told me, okay, if things really got bad, this is what it would be like, right? So that's how you look at how they treat their friends, how they treat their enemies, how they treat strangers, things like that. That tells you a lot about how they're going to treat you. So those are some standards, I think, that might be helpful. But figure out who you are and what you want. That's really important. A lot of people don't think enough about that, and they end up in stupid situations. You got to think about that. The relationship is probably the most important decision you ever make. So you got to think about that very deeply and for a really long time. Let's see the question box next to the comment section. Okay. I don't know what that means exactly, but do you believe that the majority are too far gone to accept this part of the movement is all economic? I think the majority of people are not going to understand what I'm saying. That I do believe. I think it's nice that we have we got some good allies. I had a good conversation with Kanye West. I had a good conversation with Ice Cube. I have good conversations with Charlamagne the God. These guys get it. They really get it. Kanye's interesting. He marches to the beat of his own drummer, but he gets it. Charlamagne and Ice Cube are very smart guys. So when I see these guys, they have platforms bigger than me. They're entertainers. They're in the mainstream entertainment space. It makes me very excited because it says, okay, we got a chance here. We really got a chance to really shift the culture. Because if hip hop culture is used in a constructive way, black people would take over this world. We just got to get back to where we were in the early 90s, because Chuck D was doing it back then. KRS-One was doing it back then. X-Clan was doing it back then, right? So we're recapturing a little bit of what we had back then. And sure, they don't like it, but man, I love it. I love it. I love it when a celebrity calls me or texts me or whatever. It's like, I just checked out Powernomics. Oh my God. And it makes me so excited because Dr. Claude Anderson, he's the original OG. He's like, in my mind, he's like, if we had a Mount Rushmore, he would be on it. He's like a George Washington type of person for the black community, in my opinion. And I was always very sad that this amazing, extraordinary human being did not get the respect that he deserved. I don't really care what people think about me. Like, I'm in the trenches. I'm in the mud. I'm rough around the edges. I piss people off. It doesn't matter. Like, I know half the world's probably going to hate my guts, and I don't give a fuck. I don't really care. But with him, I feel like his legacy should be exalted, So in a way, I feel like he's the running back and I'm the offensive lineman. Like, my job is to clear the path so the running back can get through and have the kind of offensive line he deserves so he can score touchdowns. Because I think that if the black community, even on a basic level, understands Powernomics principles and is committed to that culturally, I think that so many things will change. It'll have a far greater impact than reparations ever could. Far greater impact. Because if you give me a bunch of kids that grow up in the hood and you give me an opportunity to train them on economics at a high level, the majority of those children are going to have more money than white people. Because what's going to happen is they're going to enter into strategic business interactions and have a specific focus and latitude that's going to guide them to where the resources are. There's some people that just know how to go get it. They know how to go get that money. They know how to make it happen. And I want our kids to get that. So I have mentioned to some people, like, I would love to have like training camps, for these urban kids, like maybe 100 of these all throughout the United States, where we're just training our kids on just basic stuff, the basics of wealth, real estate, stocks and bonds, and entrepreneurship, and then giving them a little bit of support, a little bit of capital, and then seeing what happens. I think amazing things will come out of that. I really do. So anyway, let me stop here. Let's see here. Thoughts on wearing masks? I wear my mask, I don't believe everything they say about COVID. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to die every time I walk out the door, but I don't want to be stupid either. Like, I'm not going to go, like, wearing a mask is not hard to do, right? Staying home and quitting your job is hard to do. I wouldn't do that for COVID, but wearing a mask is easy. Just put it on. That way, in case there's a problem, you're not going to get it, right? So, but if you look at the data in terms of who dies, people under 50, under 45, the odds of dying are just super, super low. Now, older senior citizens have a higher probability, but I think if five 85-year-olds catch COVID, 4 of them are going to live. So even amongst the 85-year-olds, the odds of survival are very high. That's just a fact, And I think the people that get angry when we state those facts and statistics are the people that just want to be scared. Because you got some people that just want to be scared. They want to, maybe they're hypochondriacs. Maybe they're just scared in life in general. They just want to find a reason for and what they'll do is, unfortunately, fear can be infectious. They will try to infect you with their fear, which is far more contagious than COVID. And they get angry at you when you're not as afraid as they are. Because when you challenge people with facts that defy the information that they believe in their head already, their first reaction is usually anger. Like, if you go to somebody who really believes something and you tell them something different, just because even when you provide proof and evidence and everything else, all it does is piss them off further. Like, there's some people, their only reaction they can have is anger, right? They call that cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where you said something that is so different from my reality that I just can't take it right now. You're stressing me out because you're not going with the flow. That's why a lot of people just go along with the program. Too many people follow the crowd. I now refuse to do that. Which investment vehicle do you prefer? Real estate? Okay, we already talked about that. Your opinion. Do you think that the black militant group with Master J is a legit organization, or not? What I mean, legit for black people? They seem legit. I mean, I don't know I don't know much about them. I just don't. Well, I mean, it's different. I'm all for just trying something different. I like the fact that they're not showing up with Bibles and forgiving people. Like, I know you murdered 20 black people yesterday, but I forgives you. Like, I'm not, so I just like that. And I have not seen anything that alarms me. If I do, then I guess I'll say it, but I just haven't seen it yet. So let's see. Where can I invest in gold or silver bullion? Bobby Digital, you can actually buy an ETF that will track the price of gold. The ticker symbol for that ETF is GLD. But remember, gold is not an investment that will make you rich. Gold is an investment that keeps you rich. So just know that gold is not, something that's going to take off and make you a ton of money. It doesn't. If you look at the 5-year performance on gold, it's not that great. It's okay, but it's not. There's better things out there. Let me see here. Is it possible to have New Era Detroit and its leader, Ned Zeke, on to discuss their movement? They have been moving throughout the country and are based in Dr. Claude Anderson's teachings. Yeah, I met a guy who runs New Era Detroit. Actually, when I was in Atlanta, I went to go visit the Black House, and I met a brother there. I don't know if that was the guy you're referring to, but I wouldn't be opposed to that. I honestly am not I don't see myself as a radio show host. So honestly, I don't have that many guests. I have a lot of people that request to come on, and really, unless it's something that's really like, okay, this is going to be great. Usually, I don't have a lot of guests on because it requires me to schedule, and I hate all that. So like Ice Cube, it's Ice Cube, right? Dr. Claude Anderson, he's the OG. Those are the only ones who really get invited on a regular basis, to be honest with you. But it's not impossible. I'm just saying, like, don't be offended if I don't do it. Is it better to lease or finance a car? It depends on the price. It depends on the what you're being charged. Jay Morrison, okay, we already talked about that. Y'all asking a lot about Jay these days. Wow. Let's see here. What do you think about a website that helps families and black kids find black sitters and nannies? Afrinanny.com. I think that's a great idea, Dr. Irene. I think that's an awesome idea. Afrinanny, AFRI nanny.com. I would be a customer because we were trying to find a black nanny and it was really hard. And we found a lady. It didn't work out though. It didn't go so well. What do you think about Ice Cube's list of things to help blacks? His contract with Black America, I thought it was well done. I thought it was a great start. It's the best thing I've seen out here. And I think that I personally was concerned that they had the whole Democratic National Convention and didn't even feel the need to even mention that. I think it's just a kind of a disrespect thing. I think it's really a sign of disrespect. And it's very frustrating when people tell me to ignore that disrespect. I thought about this, right? Here's what I believe. I believe that the reason there are people who get angry about those of us who feel like that's a sign of disrespect is that we have a really feminized community. We have a community like men, we kind of have our egos. Women have it too. Sometimes women have it as well. Don't get me wrong. Women want to be respected, but I know a lot of men who would rather be feared than loved. They'd rather be respected than loved. Like, if you gave me a choice of somebody loving me and disrespecting me versus respecting me and hating my guts, I'll take the respect over the love. That's just how I operate. I don't think Alicia thinks that way. I think Alicia would rather be loved. She wants to be respected, but I think love is super important to her, right? For me, love is optional after you give me my respect, right? That's just how we are. That's just, it's like that caveman pound your chest type shit, right? That's what we do. And I really think that the missing fathers in our households has caused us to lean a little bit too far into the little bit of the feminized direction. That's where you get a lot of the kids, so like I think we have a disproportionate number of little boys that grow up wanting to date boys. Like I think some of those situations could have gone either way. Is leaning toward the feminine. We have a disproportionate number of beta males with low self-esteem, males that are afraid to really stand up, straighten up, fight back, stuff like that. We've lost some of that. And it shows when you talk to women about, what it's like as a black woman trying to date. Any black woman between the ages of like 25 and 40 probably has a really hard time in the dating scene because so many men were not raised in a structured male household where you had a father that was like no, you're not going to disrespect me, right? So I grew up with that. I grew up with a father who just talked about respect and honor and dignity and purpose and strength. Like, that was it. So when you disrespect a man like that, he's not going to take well to it. Other people might take well to it. They might say, oh, you're overreacting, or why are you doing this, and why are you making it so hard? No. A lot of guys are like, no, hell no. Like, no, I'm not. You're not going to disrespect me and be up in my house. You're not going to disrespect what I got going on over here and still come up in here and grab the big piece of chicken off the dinner table. Like, no, you're not going to do that. So I think that's honestly how I end up feeling and how other black men end up feeling. And you're seeing a reemergence of the black male right now. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing black men getting together and basically collectively saying, fuck that. Like, you thought that you could get through and get access to the valuable, precious votes from the black people by going to the mother. You thought you could go through the women and control the community. So, because think about this, they picked Kamala Harris because she's an AKA and she's a black woman, and they're like, we're gonna, so all the black women, or a bunch of the black women, all the AKAs and a bunch of black women are all flocking to Kamala because they're like, oh, it's great, everything's fine. But the men are sitting back like, what about us? Like, wait a minute, no, we ain't voting for this motherfucker. Like, wait, he locked up how many black men did Joe Biden and Bill Clinton lock up? No. And they're just sitting back. And what you're not used to, what's pissing some people off, I think, is they're not used to black males exerting our masculinity. Judge Joe Brown, as radical as he can be, Judge Joe Brown is a guy, I like following Judge Brown because he really is like that crazy old grandfather who says some shit that doesn't make any sense. But what he's talking about to some extent is he's talking about the way things used to be. Like, he said something that really got my attention that I didn't agree with when he first said it. But then I thought about it. I said, man, that's actually true. So he said putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill is an insult to black men and to the black community. And I was like, why is it an insult? Like, Harriet Tubman's great. Like, why not put it on the $20 bill? He said, when you constantly are going to the women and ignoring the men, then that is an insult to the community. That's you saying, I don't respect the men. And I had to think about it. I was like, why would he say that? And I thought about it like this, right? Imagine if you with your woman, right? So I'm with Alicia and I'm walking and a man walks up and wants to introduce himself. And I stick my hand out and he ignores my hand and shakes Alicia's hand. It's like, hi, how are you doing? Nice to meet you, doctor. And doesn't even acknowledge me. Well, that conversation will be over at that point. We're not talking anymore because you just disrespected the shit out of me, and that's not going to happen today, right? So I think that's kind of what maybe some people feel when you really think that because you got Kamala Harris and the AKAs, that black men, because we're so seen as so weak and incapable of leading our community or even ourselves, let alone our community, we can't even lead ourselves, that we're just going to follow behind like, oh, okay, go Biden, go Joe Biden. None of your policies make sense, but go Joe Biden, right? You ain't did shit for black males, but go Joe Biden. You done locked up more black men, destroyed more black families, caused more black death in our hoods than anybody can count, but go Joe Biden. I don't want to mess things up. I just want to go along. Yeah, I will just tell you the truth. This is me. I'm going off here a little bit, but I got to tell y'all, as a black man, voting for the man who led the greatest extermination of black families and black people in the last 200 years makes me feel like a complete bitch. It makes me feel like a powerless hoe. It makes me feel like the biggest wimp in the universe when a man literally came up in your house, beat your wife, raped the kids, and peed on the dog, and you still show up and serve him like he is your boss. As a man, as a human being, I cannot do that. I'm not participating in any of that. Right? Maybe if you get a different person, I don't know. I'm just telling you. Call it for what it is. Get mad. I don't know. People get mad. People get mad when black men stand up. Because you got some of these women out here that really think they're men. You got these, like, look at the lady that Joe Biden hired. I forgot the bald-headed lady that looks like a linebacker, the one that tackled the dude when he tried to go after Biden on stage, like Simone Sanders. I mean, she's competing with men. That's why she hates black men. Probably started with her daddy, and her whole life she's been competing with men to get access to vagina. So she thinks black men are a nuisance to her agenda. So this is a power struggle that you're kind of seeing right now, and I don't know. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. And I was very happy. I like sitting and talking with men who get it, and women too. And I think that there are women who really are waiting and looking for black men to emerge and to claim our power. I think that they're really rooting for us, right? Like, there are good black women who really want to see us, rise up to the point where we become worthy of their support, love, affection, and attention, protection, and everything else. Like, I think that they're rooting for that. And those are the women that I relate to. I don't relate to the women that are trying to compete with men constantly. I don't relate to that, because then at that point, you're just another dude and we just going at it. And that's just what happens. It's like LeBron going at it against the guy, Harden, Harden, whatever his name is, the guy that plays for the Rockets, right? They going at it to win a championship. Some of these women are dudes. Some of these women are just masculine. They grew up in this world where they just feel that the black man is a bitch and they can walk all over us, tell us what to do, and that it's going to be okay. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who will deliberately say, I'm not doing that because I'm not a slave. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'm not participating. Talk all the shit you want all day long. You're not getting support from me. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. Dr. Angie Beebe, this is awesome. You providing invaluable advice to your people, or service to your people. Well, thank you. I'm glad somebody gets it. I haven't stopped working yet. Good for you. Ice Cube list to help blacks. How do you feel? Oh, the contract of Black America. I thought it was very good. Wish you were running for president. Well, you know what? I'm running for president of my house. I'm running for every day. I'm running for president of the space in which I live. Every day I'm running for president of your attention right now. And so I humbly ask for your vote and your support, that in your confidence that I can serve you well enough to deserve the attention you're giving me now. Because at the end of the day, you always have a choice. You always have a choice to go do something else. And so I can't take that for granted. So I think at the end of the day, you don't have to be president of the United States or get validation from white people to be a successful black man. Stop thinking that the most successful black men are the ones who get picked by white people to do some white ass job. Like I said, they get handpicked, cherry picked to go put on some goddamn golden handcuffs and go up and sit in the White House and look pretty. And we really think that that's a successful black person. No, a successful black person is not one who is ordained by your oppressor. Who put that in your head that the measure of black success is controlled by white people? That is the most white supremacist idea I've ever seen in my life. We will literally think that a Negro is more successful than other black people because white people chose to put him on TV, or because white people chose to vote him into office, or because white people chose to give him a record deal, or white people chose to give him a book deal, or because white people pay him money to do speeches, or because white people gave him an important job. And you really claim to be looking for freedom? How are you going to be looking for freedom when your mind ain't even free? Like your mind isn't even free enough to you don't even know what freedom looks like. So I will just argue, and this is my proposal I'm gonna call together the League of Intelligent Black People. I got my Vicky Diller gavel. Every now and then I pull it out. So hear ye. I call together the Council and the League of Intelligent Black People. I would like to make a proposal. I make a proposal that we stop celebrating black people just because white people like them. We stop celebrating black people as heroes just because white people put them on TV. We stop celebrating black people as heroes just because white people gave them a bunch of votes. We stop celebrating black people as heroes just because they got approval or some important position from white people. I vote that we acknowledge the fact that they can use these approvals to control us, that they're the ones who get to decide who our heroes are. And Cube made this point. Again, if you want to know why we got along in the interview, is because I said, wow, he's really saying things I said this week. This is really cool. He said we have to stop letting them pick our heroes. So all those who agree, say aye. Say let me give me a yes or no if you agree that we should resolve right now that we are gonna stop making black people into heroes just because they gain favor with their oppressor. That is not the sign of a hero. It might be the sign of a traitor. It doesn't mean that it always is, but it means that you got to vet people. Some of your greatest heroes in your community are the people who were not accepted by white America. It was the people who were rejected by white America. It is the rejects that you need to be looking at, because these are the ones who were forced to make impossible compromises and refuse to fold the line, who refused to bend over, who refused to give in, right? Those should be your heroes, not the one who was willing to sell you up the river for $1. So if you give me a yes, okay, I see a lot of yeses. So it is now resolved that we as intelligent black people are going to stop falling for the bullshit. We're going to stop believing that a black person is successful and that he's a hero just because white people decided that they like him a lot. That doesn't even make any sense. Do another skit. I actually started when I wrote the script for it. I just didn't actually finish it yet. How do you feel about taking advantage of the CARE Act to make an investment move? I think everybody should get that money if you can get it. I think the CARES Act is fine. Get you if you have a business, get an accountant or something so you can keep up with the accounting, so you can, because you get federal money, you got to be careful with that. What's popping? Hope all is well. Everything is very well. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Silver Strain London. Oh, London. You in London? Who's winning this election? I think it's going to be Biden. Will white America agree to a black America contract? No. White people are not going to save you. So let's get that out of our head right now. But the good news is that you have the ability to save you. You have everything you need. You really do. You have everything you need right here. Let's see. Ice Cube's list. Okay. So let's see. How do you feel about Cardi B, Joe Biden interview? That was a plastic interview. What happened was, in my opinion, he did the thing with Charlemagne, and it didn't go so well. Because Charlemagne listens to this podcast. Charlemagne's on our email list. Charlemagne, we talk sometimes. So Joe Biden don't want to interview with people who think like me. He's not ready for that. He can't handle that. We're smarter than him. We have truth on our side. We ask questions that he's not used to. Remember, Joe Biden was born in the 1940s. He's used to black people going along with the program. He's used to black people getting excited about a white person who simply wasn't trying to lynch them. Right? That's what he's used to. That's why he was able to get the Congressional Black Caucus and John Lewis in particular to support that 1994 crime bill that did so much damage to the black community. Go look it up. There's articles out there about it. John Lewis got, no disrespect to this man, but John Lewis was the catalyst, because the last line of defense against that crime bill was the Congressional Black Caucus. There were people in the caucus who said, we don't want this. We don't want 100,000 more cops on the streets, because these cops are going to come kill us. We don't want to build tons more prisons and put billions of dollars into prisons, because we know we're going to be the ones to fill up these prisons, right? They stood against this. John Lewis was the guy who Biden convinced to go help him get that thing pushed through. Biden and Clinton both. Biden wrote the bill, Clinton pushed the bill, John Lewis helped get it over the hump. So that's just a truth. Go look it up. Don't think I'm just hating or nothing like that. If the truth is hating, then I can't say no. I can't help you. Let's see. How do we break generational poverty? I think basic things can be done that could break any poverty cycle in one generation. We have a $5 a day investing plan that does work, and it's not hard to do, and I encourage you to take a look at it. But it could be reduced to $2 a day. It could be increased to $10 a day, whatever. $5 a day was chosen because $5 is less than what it costs to buy a Popeye's chicken value meal. A Popeye's chicken value meal, in fact, is $8 a day. So if you do $8 a day, you're literally talking about tens of thousands of dollars in liquid wealth within 20 years, within a couple of decades. Well, actually, within 1 decade, you're no longer in poverty. Within 2 decades, you're actually in the top, say, 10, 15, 20% of all Americans in terms of wealth. And then within 30 years, 30 to 40 years, you're actually in the top 5%. Top 5 to 10%. It's very easy to do, very straightforward, not hard to do. I have a book that you can pick up for free of mine that lays out a vision for the future of the black community. I'm not just a person that wants to sit and complain about what white people did. I like solutions. That's what I do. That's what mathematicians are supposed to do. So if you want to see some of my solutions, go read or go to allblackeconomics.com. That's allblackeconomics.com. You can have the book for free. It's totally free. So just go to allblackeconomics.com. You can pick the book up. It's called Wealth, Education, Family, and Community, A New Paradigm for Black America. Well, that's the subtitle. The main title is It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. Let's see here. Is Africa a smart move with children? I like Africa. I went to Ghana. It was really great. I've been to Ghana, South Africa, Botswana, and Nigeria. Nigeria is going to take some getting used to. I want to go back, though. Botswana was beautiful and wonderful. South Africa was cool. I was disturbed by Johannesburg and all the abortion posters they had. I said, okay, they have a plan. They're conspiring to abort these children, because I didn't see any abortion ads in the white neighborhoods. I only saw them in the black neighborhoods, and I saw them everywhere. So I said, okay, this is population control. Ghana was nice. I think Ghana was wonderful. I felt the most home at home in Ghana. It was an awesome place to be. I had a hard time adjusting to the fact that things seem to move so slow. That's something I'd have to adjust to or figure out. We went to a restaurant and we got there maybe 6 and we didn't leave till midnight. They got me my food 11:15 or something. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. I was there for 5 hours before I got my food. And that was a little weird. But that's not something that can't be fixed. But, and maybe it's not representative of, a lot of Ghana, just the experience I had. So anyway, that's what it was. Let's see here. What is something, Vanell says, what is something you've taught your kids you want them to keep passing down to their children's children? Don't work for other people unless you have to. Be happy in life. Happiness is extremely important. It's more important than money. Money is only a tool for happiness. If you have money and you're not happy, then you lost the game. You made the wrong decision. You put the cart before the horse. So be happy. Work hard. Be a good person. Never give up. Invest in working for your money is the hardest way to make money. Get to a point where you don't have to work for your money. You do that by investing. If you want your children to be in that position, then start that $5 a day investing plan for your child right now. And that's going to get them in a position where by the time they're 25, they won't have to work for money. They'll be in a position where if they manage their money properly and they invest it properly, they'll have passive income. They'll understand things like how you can own a property and get rent. Get somebody else to pay your rent because because you have some families that raise their children to be renters and some people raise their children to be owners. I want black people to raise our children to be owners. And then if somebody wants to come and pay your mortgage for you, then fine, let them do it, right? We have a free country, right? Same thing with stock market investing. That's been the number one wealth driver in the history of the United States for the last 100 years. It ain't going nowhere, right? Everybody keeps saying it's going to crash and all this other stuff. Those myths will keep you broke. And most of those myths and lies are perpetuated by people who know nothing about investing. They've never invested in anything. And so I will just say that I have a lot of wealthy friends. Most of my wealthy friends, 95% of them, invest in the stock market. So I would get my kids invested. I would get them teach them how to have a business. Our 10-year-old has a business and she made $200 on her first day. So now she doesn't ever want to work for anybody ever again. So get them exposed to things that are going to give them liberation. Don't just train them for slavery. Let's see what's going to happen with Tesla. I think Tesla is interesting. I speculate that a lot of these Robinhood traders that like to really speculate are pushing the prices artificially high. And when that happens, you create bubbles that can pop. And when those bubbles start popping and you borrow money to buy that stock, then what happens is that you get these things called margin calls. When you get margin calls, you have to either come up with cash or you have to sell the stock. Well, a lot of these people don't have the cash to meet their margin calls, so they just have to sell the stock. So selling is followed by more selling, and which can accelerate the price decline. So I think Tesla is just going to remain a very volatile company. I think long term, though, if you're looking at Tesla over, say, a 5-10 year horizon, I like it. I am a big believer in Tesla, Elon Musk. I'm not betting the farm on it, but it is in my portfolio. But it could go south. It could lose money. It could go bankrupt. Companies go bankrupt all the time. And, and that's why I say, like, when you talk about things like the Tulsa Fund, you have to understand Good companies go bankrupt a lot. I mean, I'm not saying the Tulsa Fund's gonna go bankrupt. I hope that doesn't happen. But when people say something like, I know that business is bad because it didn't work out, that tells me they don't really know a lot about business, or they haven't done a lot of business. Because, that's like saying that, if your relationship doesn't work out, then you're a bad person. No, people break up all the time. Divorces happen all the time. Some relationships work, some don't. Just like some businesses work, some don't. So just kind of keep that in mind. Is Vanguard a good choice? I like Vanguard. Very good company. Nowhere to go up from rock bottom. Yes, I agree. Askia. Get out of your comfort zone. Hell yeah. Punk ass word. People hate being accountable. Yes, I agree with you, humble blessed. Sylvester says Dr. Boyce talking the real. Well, that's all I know how to do. Let's see here. Slaves to your habits. Yeah, that's a problem. A lot of us have that issue. We all do it. That I figured this out. This is something I really think this can really help you, because it took me a long time to figure this out. I figured out that the biggest factor that keeps us from achieving our goals and really becoming as great as we plan to be is being able to connect your words with your actions. Keeping a promise to yourself, because what would happen is, you ever go through that where you say, oh yeah, on Tuesday I'm gonna start working out, and I'm gonna work out every day, and I'm gonna do this, and you write out a whole plan, and and I'm gonna lose weight, and this and this is gonna happen, and then when it's time to actually do it, you're tired, you don't want to do it, you don't get out of bed, or you say you're gonna read this book and you never read the book, or you say you're gonna start that business and you just never do it. So a lot of us talk a lot of shit. A lot of us just talk and we don't follow through, and that's a problem everybody has. Because we have habits, like I'll sit here and I see the real Boyce, and I see the Boyce that I really want to be, and I see who I really am. And there's usually a gap. There's always been a gap. The gap used to be huge. Now the gap narrows, but it's still big enough that even I still have this conversation with myself. And what I figured out is that, or what I've concluded is that, if you can close that gap, like if you can literally get to the point where anything you say you're going to do, you actually do it, then there's nothing you can't do. Because most problems you have, most goals you have, most achievements you want to achieve for yourself are doable. And you know what to do. You have the plan in front of you. Like if you want to lose 50 pounds, you know what to do. You got to go like a couple months without eating the way you used to, and you got to maybe work out, 4 times a week or whatever. You know what to do. But so many of us go years and years and years without doing it. Well, that's because we are addicted to our habit. We are addicted to our choices. We are stuck in a fucking holding pattern, and it's hard to break out of that. And the biggest things that force you to break out is you got to surrender yourself. I think you have to, like, this whole idea, freedom is a little bit overrated sometimes. Sometimes we ain't mature enough to have freedom. Really, and what I mean by that is, we're free to do what we want. Like, if I want to go upstairs and eat ice cream, I can go eat ice cream. If I want to go sit down on the couch all day and eat Cheetos and shit, I can do that. Ain't nobody gonna stop me. I'm a free man. I do whatever I want. But if I really want to become a better man, like if I truly wanted to get in shape, I shouldn't give myself all that freedom. I shouldn't lean on Boyce to do what he needs to do to get better. I need to surrender that freedom and give somebody else the keys to my life and say, you get to tell me what to do. Because who I am is not good enough to accomplish this goal. Who I am, I'm not the man I need to be the man I want to be. The man I am is not the man I need to be. And if I don't become the man I need to be, I'll never be the man I want to be. So in order, for example, losing weight, I had to surrender. I had to give Alicia full permission to pull me out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's 8 degrees outside, even though I hated it. And it was because it was something I never could have done on my own. There's no way you could pull me out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's 8 degrees outside. If I'm there by myself and there's nobody telling me like that I have to get out of bed, I'm going to roll over and go back to sleep because the bed is warm and comfortable and it's familiar for me. So if you want to ever accomplish something, or you ever want to change something about your life, surrender yourself to something greater than yourself, and surrender yourself to something that's going to make you uncomfortable long enough for you to establish a new comfort zone. If you can do that, if you can commit to doing that, then you will grow, you will evolve, you will become a better person every step of the way. But if you sit here in your fucking comfort zone all the time and you're always doing what you want to do, you ain't never going to change. That's just the reality. So let me keep going. Do you see Tesla or Apple as undervalued right now? I think long term, I feel like they're good long term investments, but are they undervalued now? That's tough. Nobody really knows what the true fundamental value is. Have I been buying those stocks? Yes. So that might be the best answer. And yes, I've been buying things. Over awareness sometimes can be just as dangerous as not being aware at all. What's your thoughts on this? Over awareness. You mean like over awareness on race or over awareness on life? Or I think over awareness, I don't see a case where over awareness is bad, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. I like to be as aware as I can possibly be. Do you think about Apple stock? Will it rebound this week? This week, it could. I think that if there's good news on the front of on this negotiation in Congress over the stimulus package, if they make any progress at all, I think the market will use that as an excuse to go up. The market's using anything as an excuse to go upward. Now, there are trade tensions developing with China, and also we have right now what they call that K-shaped recovery, where it's kind of jagged and it's very the inequality is really growing educationally and economically, and that's going to be a problem. That's what it is. What do you think about P-Valley? You probably already answered this. I don't know what P-Valley is. I'm sorry, Patrick. I don't know what that is. Let me see here. Ice Cube can't melt. That's immortality. Shoot, McDonald's has commercials all day. Are we in a stock market bubble? Yeah, we probably are. How do you feel about put options as the market is going down? I like put options mostly for insurance, though, not so much for speculation. Buy an apartment building that generates $10K a month and keep the rest in reserves for other opportunities. Yeah, I think that's good. You mean with the $500K? Okay, I think that's not bad if you could pull that off. I have a question. I'm a 15-year-old kid from Vegas and I want to start in stocks. Where can I start? Start with mutual funds. That might be a good place to start. Go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. There's a free training that I put together on how to buy your first share of stock. So feel free to go to firstshareofstock.com. Plus, you'll be on the email list where you can actually get free stuff from the Black Business School. Me too at Payne Weber back in the day. Okay. Dr. Kibion says, hey, Dr. Boyce, I'm going to be teaching a course on how people should sell put options at a lower price on quality dividend stocks. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I think that'd be a great course. What do you think of Trump blacklisting the Chinese business SMIC, a chip-making company, and who will absorb the chip-making business in the U.S.? I don't know who's going to absorb it. Doesn't AMD make chips? I don't know much about that industry. I think Trump doesn't like China, and China doesn't like Trump. But one area where he is right about China is that China's pretty bad about business deals. Like they create these crazy trade gaps because they just do stuff that's just not right. Like they don't respect intellectual property. They do a lot of really shady stuff. China needs to be confronted, but maybe not by him because he's a little too rough, and I think he messes up relationships. Read the book Who Am I? It's a book on values. Okay, I like that. Why do some black men put down black women? Because they're fucking stupid. And I really think that as black men, I think we should exalt black women, but I think at the same time there should be room for us to not have to pretend like every black woman's a queen even when she's not. Just like every black man ain't no king, so I think if you look at people as individuals, then that is what makes the most sense. But I think also men who just sort of conditionally put down black women, I don't get that. I'm actually offended by a lot of the black men who don't date black women. I think that's kind of weird. Let's see here. What do you think about Candace Owens versus Cardi B Twitter beef today? Oh, Candace Owens and Cardi B were Twitter beefing today. Okay, I gotta go check that out. I'm sure that's funny. I haven't seen it. I don't really like either one of them that much. I think that they both have some good and some bad. I don't like. Basically, honestly, it's like a plantation fight because Candace Owens is on the Trump plantation. For her, she's all about Trump. Cardi B's on the Joe Biden plantation. Like her interview with Joe Biden was a softball interview. And it is what it was, but I see it as a plantation fight because and neither one of them are going to win, right? Because you can't tell me on any planet that black people are really going to win with Trump in office or Biden in office. Like neither one of those elections is a game changer or will move the needle in terms of where black people are in this country. But here's the thing. There are black people who just don't care. There are black people who just don't understand or think about it or whatever. So they're just going along with the program. The people that are going to move the needle are the people that are really moving the needle. I think those who are moving the needle are people like yourselves who are controlling what happens in your household. Like, there's a difference between, 1930, where white people told you what bathroom you could use, what schools you could go to, where you could start a business, or they burn down your company and steal all your stuff. Now it's a little easier. I've never met a white man who told me I couldn't start a business. I've never met a white man who wanted to put me in jail for reading a book. I've never met white people who told me which bathroom I can use. And so now a lot of the racism really is more psychological. Some of it's out there, right? You still have some violence. We're not going to neglect that, right? You still have issues with police and things like that for sure. But in general, for most of you, if I was to ask you, when's the last time a white man walked up and pulled a gun on you because you were spending time with your kids or taking them to school or whatever, right? You probably would say never. It's never happened, right? So we tend to internalize, like we'll see the case with Jacob Blake, and we'll internalize that. Like, oh, that could be me. That could be me. I don't think that could be just anybody. I just don't. I'm not stupid. I read enough about the case to say, yeah, I don't really like the way it went down, but I don't think this narrative that this could be just any black man walking down the street. Like, I know guys like Dr. Wesley Muhammad's in the Nation of Islam. You'll never, let me just write this, let me just say this out loud. Record this if you want to. Mark my word, over the next 20 years or longer, you will never hear of any story of a member of the Nation of Islam who's rolling with other guys from the nation get beat down and shot by the cops. You will never, ever, ever hear a story like that. You know why? Well, because first of all, the police know better than that. They're not going to fuck with nobody from the Nation of Islam because they know they will be getting an ass whooping that day. They know that these guys are intelligent. They know these guys are alert. They're not going to be high and drunk. They're not going to be running from the cops. They're not going to be in no crazy situations. They're not going, they're just not and I'm not saying that this is a respectability politics type thing. It's not. But it does say that there is something extra that has to be added to the narrative. When we talk to our sons about how scary and dangerous police are, I think we can also talk to our sons about what it means to be a strong, safe black man too, that isn't going to get fucked with by the police. I know, I don't even know how controversial that is. I think it's a common sense sort of thing, but we don't live in a world that's filled with common sense. We live in a world of extremes. But like Dr. Wesley Muhammad is not Jacob Blake, nor would he ever be, right? It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means that, for most of you in here, that are listening right now, you're part of what I consider to be maybe the talented 10th. Like you're the ones who kind of just have seen what's happening in the world and it doesn't make sense to you. If the world makes sense to you, you wouldn't be here. You're not a person who's here, or maybe you're here because the world isn't quite adding up and you're looking for something, one or the other, right? But the people who are kind of going along with this stuff and who think all this is normal and are just kind of letting white people give them marching orders every day on how to live, how to raise their kids, how to spend their money, how to live their lives, those people are lost. Those people are doomed. Those people are rats in a fucking cage. Like, really, if your oppressor is giving you, like Alicia said it today, she said one thing she said that was funny about slavery. She said, I would never let a slave, if I had a slave, I wouldn't let a slave cook my food. Why would you let somebody who hates you cook your food? And I said, yeah, and it goes for us too. Why would we let somebody who hates us educate our children? Why do we let somebody who hates us feed us our media? We let somebody who hates us, we let them put us in student loan debt so we can go to their colleges. We let somebody who hates us give us our job. We become financially dependent on people who hate us. The people who hate us, we want to go live in their neighborhoods. Smart people just break away from that, but there are some people who are just comfortable just doing what they're told. They really like the slave mentality, addictions. Like I was telling you about addictions. So I just really think that there's going to be like a whole class of black people that are going to elevate. They're going to have more wealth than the average white person. They're going to have more education than the average white person. They're going to be safe. They're going to live well. They're going to do well. A lot of the people that don't do well are the people that are going to allow themselves to continue to live under the grip of white supremacy. So I use Wesley Muhammad and the Nation of Islam as an example because that's the blueprint. I mean, that they really lay out the blueprint for y'all. I think you get turned off because of the religion, but they lay the blueprint of what it means to be black, independent, and self-sufficient, because that's kind of what they do. They're not running around looking for approval from white people and constantly being triggered by stupid things that white people say. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I believe, and I'm sticking with it. All right, so I'm gonna go, guys. Let's see here. Let me answer two more questions. What book would you recommend a 19-year-old black male read? Powernomics. Let me see. Will you address? Okay, y'all keep bringing. See, y'all need to stop trolling on this Tulsa real estate fund. Go build a fund, man. I'll support you. Like, stop it. Just seriously, like quit it. If you got an issue, go to the court of law. Don't be coming in my Instagram chat. Don't you have better things to do? Go get a woman. Go find a woman. You'll be happy to get you a woman. What's your opinion on Trump's criminal justice reform? And is his Opportunity Zone Act a gateway for gentrification? Yeah, well, remember, Trump has always been a selfish guy. He's a businessman. He's a capitalist. If Trump does anything that appears to be something he's doing for other people, I'm going to assume he's also serving himself. But I assume that about all the politicians, and so I think at the end of the day, the question I would ask myself or ask you is, why would you even be waiting for a racist old white man to do something for you? You should be doing something for yourself. Meaning, if I sit down and I'm negotiating with a Donald Trump or Joe Biden, why would I think that it's Joe Biden's job to look out for me? Right? Like, why would he be looking out for me? He's not going to look out for me. He's going to look out for himself. I'm not looking out for him. I'm not thinking about his family. I'm not here to save the Trumps from whatever, fate awaits them. I think that there's a weird thing where black people are trained to look for a babysitter. Like, we look for babysitters. We really want people to care about us and to make sure that we're okay. And I just think that's really weird. It's not empowering at all. So I could easily sit down and negotiate with a Trump. It would actually be easy because we could get all the emotional crap out of the way, and it'd be like, yeah, you don't care about me, I don't care about you, but it's okay. We don't have to care about each other. Let's make a deal. Here's what I can do for you, and here's what I need you to do for me. You do these things for me, I'll do these things for you. Sometimes a person who you don't even like can be a better business partner than somebody that claims to love you, who's giving you fake love because your self-esteem is so low that you need somebody to tell you that they love you in order for you to give them all your money or whatever, right? Sometimes an enemy can be a better negotiator with you than an actual friend. As long as we just know what it is. So that's it. It's like almost like even if you think about prostitution, right? Like, some people say prostitution is bad, it should be illegal or whatever, or like Cardi B selling WAP is a bad thing. I've never had a problem with Cardi B selling WAP. I've always been like, well, if you want to sell your vagina for $8.45, like, that's on you. That's fine, right? My whole thing, though, first of all, the issue I had with Cardi was I don't like that marketed to children. I like for our little girls to have other choices, so we don't turn them into victims and then cry because they're being victimized, right? We turn them in, we sexualize them, and then get all upset when they're having sex at the age of 12. And I don't understand that. I'm a believer in accountability, which, as I mentioned to you, is not very popular. But the thing with Cardi and the whole selling WAP thing is, it's fine as long as everybody knows what it is, right? If you go into a prostitution type relationship and there's somebody sleeping with you because you're paying them money, and then you falsely believe that they actually love you, instead of realizing that she only said she loved you because you were paying her money. She was playing a role, right? And then your feelings get all hurt when you find out that the hooker really doesn't love you. Then that makes me kind of sad for you because you didn't know what it was. You did what Willie D talked about. He said, don't turn a hoe into a housewife. She wasn't a housewife. She was a hoe, right? That was her. You were paying her money. She was giving you sex. Like, know what it is, and people don't know what it is. Like, so in politics, black people don't know what it is. Black people don't understand. Politicians are hookers. They give it all up to the highest bidder. That's what they are. And if you need them to rub your booty hole and tell you that they love you, then they'll do it for you. And they'll give you the whole illusion of love as long as you write that check, as long as you're bringing that money, then or bringing those votes, right? That they'll tell you whatever it is that you want to hear, and you'll end up looking stupid when you really think that is love because you didn't know what it was. Black people have to understand that what it is. This is not love. This is a game. People say Black Lives Matter. They're just saying it because they're like, shit, if we say this, will these people shut up? Will they, can we avoid giving them money if we just tell them Black Lives Matter? Would that be a good replacement for reparations? Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Sure, yeah. You know, you not dying is a good thing. Okay, can I keep my money now? Can I keep my 13 trillion now? You know, it's crazy. Do you know the history? Check this out. The history of Hollywood. I have my students read a book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood, which is a fascinating sort of analysis of how they, you know, these Eastern European Jews, which were kind of the most disrespected segment of the Jewish community, they created like all these major Hollywood studios because they had to create their own jobs. Nobody would hire them. And anyway, around the 1930s or 1940s, the executives of the companies were dealing with the fact that these actors and actresses wanted more money. These people become movie stars and they wanted more and more money. So they're like, shit, how do we get away with not paying them money? How do we like keep our money? So they said, oh, let's create some bullshit award. We'll call it an Academy Award or an Oscar, and we'll just give them an award. And so we'll feed their ego so that they won't ask for any more money. So literally, that's where the Oscars came from. The executives were like, let's just blow smoke up their ass and tell them how much we love them and feed their ego, and then they won't come back and ask for any money, and we'll keep all the bread. We'll be counting our money in the back. You want another Oscar? Yeah. Give him another Oscar. Give him. Yeah. Oh, is that you good now? Okay. Just show up and do your job, ho. Right. So one of the things somebody asked me about polygamy. What do I think about polygamy? I think polygamy is a personal choice. I think it's a controversial topic. I will say this. I think that one of the reasons that people talk about polygamy is because polygamy happens. They have what they call ghetto polygamy. Ghetto polygamy is where you ever go to the hood and you see like one dude that has like 8 babies mamas. Like that's just ghetto polygamy, right? He has 8 women and 8 children, or whatever the number is, and he's taking care of all these different women, all these children. Usually he can't do it. He's not able to, right? Because it's very expensive to do that. So having a lot of babies mamas is very costly. Emotionally, it's costly. Financially, it's very stressful. You pass a lot of STDs that way. And it's a shit show. It becomes a fucking shit show. Because the other thing about polygamy, one thing I can say about polygamy, no matter what you think about this, because you go to other countries, I've talked to people who grew up in polygamous families. I have friends maybe from Africa who, who grew up with, they're like, yeah, my grandfather I had 8 grandmothers in the house and I had my grandfather. What you will find is that polygamy, if it were to exist, it's a system that has its efficiencies, but most of the men in America are not even mature enough to begin to think about polygamy. They're just not. A lot of our African American males are just not raised with enough of a sense of the strength of manhood, all the forms of manhood strength necessary to even support a polygamous infrastructure. Because you are a walking institution. You have so many women to just keep up with and keep them all happy, and just making enough money to support a polygamous family is ridiculous. You got to be a fucking millionaire to pay for it. That's why when you go back in time and you hear about these kings that had 200 wives or whatever, they were also like multimillionaires. And so what you have in America is you have like this really bad version of polygamy that occurs where it occurs in 2 cases. One is what they call ghetto polygamy, just a dude with a bunch of babies mamas, and he's some dude that knows how to use his penis but doesn't know how to provide for anybody, and it's very sad. It's unfortunate. What I would advise young girls about men to choose, I would say stay away from guys like that, because they're probably good at sex. That's why you like them, because they're good looking, they're good at sex, but they have diseases, they don't have any money, and they're going to hurt your children's feelings. Your children are going to grow up feeling abandoned and mad and whatever. And then I say to the men, don't do that, because you're going to catch diseases, you're going to go broke, and you're going to spend your life chasing around, dealing with, run away from the child support system. And then your kids are going to fucking hate you because you don't have enough time to spend with all those damn kids. And so you're going to spend all this money. And even if you do pay all the money, they're going to grow up mad because you were never around. So you're going to lose. Like, either way, you're going to lose. And then when you finally decide to settle down and try to have a real family, you can't really do that, because you can't really be completely present for your family because you're dealing with all these situations you created in your 20s when you didn't know how to keep your dick in your pants. And then also the woman that's with the man like that is not getting a real man. She's getting a piece of man. You're getting a piece of him. Whatever pieces are left over after he's been like bitten off and ravaged by all these other people that are getting their little piece of the money. So you think you're doing well because you got with some dude who's an NFL player or whatever, but he's got so many financial obligations that he can't really be there for you, financially at least, because he's got so many other obligations. And so I just think that in America, I think that people are going to do what they want to do. I'm not even judging. Like, whatever you do, whatever you've done, just know I'm not judging that. I'm just telling you what it is. It just becomes a complete shit show, and it's very messy and very sloppy. But where it comes from, too, is that I've read in biology books about, the desire for sexual variety with men. So they just kind of, when we're young, we just kind of want to get around and do what we do. Now, with people that are more middle class, upper class, the polygamy shows itself with divorces. So you'll see like a rich guy who has like 4 or 5 ex-wives, right? And that is what psychologists might describe that as being a form of polygamy. It's just subconscious polygamy. They don't know that they're doing polygamy, but that's what it is. You've got 3 or 4 people that are all dependent on one male that's kind of at the center, and it's just not sexual anymore, right? Or maybe it is, I don't know. And but I think polygamy, if it was done, first of all, the guy would have to have a lot of money. But that's just the beginning. He would have to have a lot of wisdom and the ability to manage. I mean, like, managing a group of women and getting them all to be on the same page requires you to be, you got to be Judge Mathis of, every other day. Like, you really have to be the wisest man on the planet to be able to manage all of that and the ability to resolve conflicts and disputes and everything else. And then also, of course, the women would play their role, right? If you have a lot of jealousy and territorialism, then that's not going to work, right? So I think that if polygamy was allowed, there should be like a book, like a rule book that people have to sort of pay attention to, maybe a class that they'd have to take, like a structure, like, because a polygamous marriage to me is like, marriage itself is an institution already. Polygamy would just be a much bigger institution. Now, some people say, well, what about polygamy where the woman has multiple wives and the man doesn't? I'm just going to tell you the truth. Maybe I sound old-fashioned when I say this, but most men I know can't share, like, on any level. Women don't like to share either, don't get me wrong. But men literally want to murder when like somebody's getting their stuff, like men just so. But again, maybe it changes. Maybe there's some situations where people don't mind sharing, but I don't really think, from what I have seen, it's really hard for a man to get over another dude being all up in his woman. Like, it just doesn't usually, like, 2 or 3 men sharing one woman. They can do that, like, if you're at a strip club and they all sharing the same hooker, right? Guys do that type of stuff. They run trains or whatever. But I think if you're talking about a wife is different from a hoe. A wife is different from a mistress. A wife is different from, like, the side chick. The wife is like here, she's like some like this royal thing, and he's dedicating all his time and all his money, and she's the mother of his kids. Whereas if it's like Cardi B, I'm sure Cardi B's been passed around. Like, I'm sure she's talked about it on her Instagram. So I think, from what I have seen, guys can share a Cardi B. Like Chris Rock talked about. He talked about the woman that's yours, and then the woman that's like there for the community. And he's like, I don't care about, like, the woman that's there for the community. Like, yeah, it's like you go to the public park and everybody's going to use the swing set or whatever. That's very different from, like, the little playground you have in your backyard that's yours, that's just there for you and your family. So anyway, let me quit talking. I'm just extrapolating on anything. See, this is what y'all get me in trouble with these weekend conversations, man. I swear. So anyway, maybe I'm talking crazy. I don't know. I'll just say that at the end of the day, I think that you should find what works for you. And I also will say this: when you talk about relationships, one piece of advice I'll throw out there is relationships are really important. in terms of what you do in your life. There are books out there. There are YouTube videos out there. There are classes out there you can take on how to have a healthy relationship. And given the importance of that when it comes to how a bad relationship can poison everything else you do, I encourage you to do that. Like I believe that if I had it my way, like if I was the king of the earth and could do whatever I wanted, I would totally make it a rule, a law that says you can't get married till you take a class. You must take a class on how to manage your marriage and conflicts and everything else. And that's what it was. Let me see. So anyway, so let's see, Cardi B. So who said I'm hating on Cardi B? No, I don't hate on Cardi B. I didn't. There's nothing I said about Cardi B that Cardi B has not said about herself. Cardi B, first, think about this. I mean, the lady raps about her pussy all the time, all day, every day. So why am I being offensive by talking about Cardi B giving up cheap pussy? I mean, that's her whole brand. That's like talking about KFC selling chicken. Like that's what KFC got chicken, she's got vagina. Like that's the whole song was wet ass put. Then from the beginning to the end, all they talked about was WAP. So why is that offensive when I talk about it? I mean, I don't agree with it. I think it's fine for her as a grown woman. But I think when you talk about marketing that to children, I'm not a fan of that. Also, I think that you have to really process this in the context of the bigger picture. You're looking for people to see you as a complete human being, but all you're doing in the entire song is rapping about one part of your body. And then so you can't get mad when that's all men see you as is a piece of WAP. When you literally every song you're writing about yourself as if you're a piece of WAP. So you're short-circuiting your own humanity, and then you get offended when other people don't see your humanity. You never showed that to them. You never tried to be anything other than a piece of WAP. So, and I don't want that for my daughters. I know my daughters gonna grow up. They're beautiful girls. I'm sure they're gonna make some men happy one day, whatever they choose to do. But I do not want a man obsessed and only talking about one body part when it comes to my girls when they become grown women. I want them to see all the complexities of who they are as people, and then later on we can get around to the other stuff. But seriously, like you got to stop this. We got to stop throwing the black woman out here like she's a piece of shit, and then somehow getting offended when people observe what you're doing, when people call you on your bullshit. Like it's stupid, it's irresponsible, it's ridiculous. And then you're doing that to little girls. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. That's some bullshit. So let me stop. Entertainment's not real life. She's a wife and mother now. Yeah, she is a wife and mother. So maybe she should rap about that. What do you think of 19 Keys, Brother Polite? I don't know 19 Keys. Brother Polite, I met him one time, and he was very respectful, and that's all I know. All I know is that with the time we interacted, it was very productive and positive. I don't know anything about what he does though. Let me see here. It's entertainment. There's no such thing as something that's just entertainment. Entertainment affects how people think and how people make choices, and especially for children. When you expose it to little kids, studies show that little children absorb all of that. Like they absorb entertainment as part of their lifestyle. So you can't go rap to 7-year-olds about selling pussy all day and think that's not going to affect how that little girl's going to see herself. If you don't think that's going to affect her, then you're out of your mind. If you think that her parents can just keep her from it, that's not true. Because kids go to school and all their friends come to school and they're playing this music in the bathroom. So seriously, like stop it. Stop making excuses for bullshit. Stop, I'm not going to tell you what to stop doing. I don't tell people what to do. But here's what I'm going to say. One of the reasons that you struggle as a community is because you don't allow for any accountability. You always want to be a goddamn victim. You always want to be a victim. You always want to destroy your own life and then talk about how hard it is to have a ruined life. You burn down your own house and then you whine and complain about how black people got to live in the ashes. Well, maybe you wouldn't be in the ashes if you weren't always burning down your own house. How can you sexualize? How can you actively promote the sexualization of little black girls and then act like victims when these 12 girls are 12 years old having sex with R. Kelly? Like, seriously, we know R. Kelly's a creep, but you can't lie to me. That little girl who's been sexualized since she was 7 probably walked up to this man looking for dick because she's been sexualized since she was a kid because you were molesting her brain as a child. You are a fucking predator if you think that children need to hear about selling WAP and sucking a man's penis when they are in the 2nd grade. You are just as bad as R. Kelly if you think that this stuff is okay. It's not okay. It's okay in the strip club. It's okay on the porn sites. It's okay when the adults are in the room. It is not okay when you got little children seeing this stuff on TikTok. They're on TikTok looking for cartoons, and next thing you know, they got an image of Lizzo sucking a man's penis. Come on, man. What is wrong with you? That is sick. That is truly sick. Absolutely sick. Let me go back here. But of course, people are going to excuse their bullshit because these are the people they probably they're just, you know, they're just, I mean, you're as bad as child molesters. Get out of here with that stuff. I do not support you. I do not agree with you. You're welcome to come back to the platform, but you're not going to be happy here because we're going to call you on that shit. Let me see here. Block them, Doc. No, I'm not going to block nobody. I don't believe she's promoting anything derogatory intentionally for kids. Oh, that must be, you must be 21 years old or something. How were you raised? I need to know. I was raised with a strong stepfather. My biological father was not present, but my stepfather was a very strong man, very much into living by codes and discipline, and he was a big believer in strength. Like, he's the guy where I said, how did you stop smoking? He said, I stopped. How'd you get off heroin? Oh, I just stopped. And he did. And that's what he just says. If you want something, you just do it. So I got that from my father. I got my strength from my father, my passion from my mother. My mother's very passionate, church-going woman. Like, you know, she'll pray you into the ground, like Jesus and God and all that stuff. You know, she's really into that. And so my mother gave me passion. My father gave me strength. And so if you have passion and strength, I think you can get a lot done. What do you think about the NFAC? I haven't met those guys, but I think that they, I like what they're doing so far. I don't have no problem with that. All right. So anyway, do you think the Kodak stock will prosper? I'm not going to bet on it. I didn't buy any Kodak stock. I'll say that. Let me see. Okay. All right, guys. I'm about to go. Let me get out of here. I've been sitting on here for an hour and a half. Thank you guys for listening. It was fun. I hope that we all learned something today. Once again, if you want to get a free e-copy of my book, feel free to go to allblackeconomics.com. That's allblackeconomics.com. And you can get a copy of my book. It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar. So feel free to go take a look at that. And I'm out of here. So take care. Have a good night. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.